If I read this headline to you in week 7, or read to you over the summer and said this is what's going to happen in week 7, tell me who you think I would be talking about. First Colts quarterback in team history with 2 pass touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns in one game.
I mean, 100% I would have bet all my money at the time that was Anthony Richardson, except I'm the last person to ask because maybe I would have guessed Gardner Minshew since I'm his number one fan on the planet. I mean, in the first half, I was actually going to text you guys and be like, what? First round pick for Gardner Minshew?
I was feeling the same way. So this is more about the Browns, but I thought that was funny. Gardner giveth and Gardner taketh away, but I think that also applies to taketh away in terms of Myles Garrett and how dominant he was in this game and how he had to drag this team in the first half at least over the finish line because Deshaun Watson, and maybe we should start here. What's the deal with Deshaun Watson? It looked like he got concussed. Kevin Stefanski didn't bring him back in after the first half. They went with P.J. Walker, who was just doing crazy things because that's how P.J. Walker operates. Later, they said it was his shoulder with Deshaun. So I don't know what the deal is, but he did not come back in. He was on the sidelines cheering happily for his team as they won. This team feels like a playoff team, but they have to get the quarterback situation sorted out. So how do you get the quarterback situation sorted out?
So this has been lingering, and I've mentioned it a few times, and I mean, Lord knows everything else I've mentioned a few times this week has been dead ass wrong. So like, take this with a grain of salt. But 2 weeks ago when Deshaun didn't play, Kevin Stefanski, and I need to go like find the actual quote, but it like threw me for a loop when I read it. It was like Stefanski was basically like, so he didn't play against before the bye, he didn't play against the Ravens, right? And then he didn't, and then he was also like, you'd think like come back from the bye.
He was medically cleared to play against the Ravens.
Exactly. And Kevin Stefanski said Deshaun made the decision not to play. And now Brady and Deuce pushed back at this when I mentioned it because they're like, dude, like medically cleared. They're like medically cleared to play can mean a very different thing from, you feel comfortable playing. But the way I read it, just sort of reading between the lines, is that Deshaun, because of what it costs to acquire him and what they paid him, and the fact that, it can't be like, well, we're going to withhold your contract for incentive. Like he has no incentives in his contract. It's fully guaranteed that he sort of has kind of a little bit of freedom to say, I don't think I'm going to play today. And I just wonder if hearing that a couple weeks ago, and then he skips the Niners game, a very good defense. And then like he gets out of there against the Colts. He's like, I don't know. I don't know. Like that's a kind of I don't want to question his motives.
He hit his head on the turf and he had to come out.
I'm just saying he's been medically cleared since September and has chosen not to play football and then left this game early. That's all I'm saying.
Well, and I think he talked to the media leading up to this game, and he had said he didn't want to put the Browns in a bad spot. So if he can't throw the ball 50 yards downfield or hit the long out routes, that he didn't feel comfortable playing, which again, there's a disconnect in the locker room then if the coaching staff, I'm not going to say expects him to play, but would prefer that he's out there and he's like, I can't do it. That seems like it's going to create a little bit of an issue. And the problem for the Browns is that they're locked into this guy for $230 million. There's no way out. He's guaranteed. This is guaranteed money. This isn't Russell Wilson where you can get out in 2 years, which again, and it feels like because Russell Wilson's gotten so much flack and Deshaun Watson kind of got a flyer for the end of last season with his bad 6 games. It was like, well, he's rusty. Well, now we're in week 7. There's no more rust. You are either able to play or you're not. And so far, Deshaun Watson has not been able to play. Luckily for the Browns, their defense has been so phenomenal. Wilson, you mentioned Myles Garrett. He had 2 forced fumbles, 2 strip sacks in the first half, blocked a field goal, almost single-handedly won this game. He was the MVP.
Also gave up 456 yards and 6.8 yards per play to Gardner Minshew. They were incredible.
Right. But they also forced 4 turnovers by Gardner Minshew, which was really the difference in the game. And so, I mean, you got to give the Browns defense a ton of credit because they won the game there. And it is, if you're the Browns fan or if you're looking at the Browns, you can look at the past 2 weeks in 2 ways. You can be like, well, the Browns got lucky and this team should be 2-4. Or you can say that's what good teams do in the NFL. All games are close. They beat the 49ers on 2 because they missed a kick, and they beat the Colts by 1 because PJ Walker actually came through and drove down and got them a touchdown. So I think the Browns defense is going to be a problem for the rest of the NFL. If they can get the QB situation figured out, they're going to be good. But if they can't,
that's a big if though, right?
What
is.
what a wins over Wilson say the odds are for the Browns to make the playoffs?
They're currently inside the bubble, I believe.
Absolutely,
So that
they're
division-
the 5 seed as of right now, I believe.
So that division, the Ravens, breaches Ravens are in
6 seed,
first
excuse me,
place.
sorry.
I think it's probably percentage wise. I would put it at like 40, like 9.4%.
Well, I have the odds in front of me. What do you think the Browns are like? Obviously, yes or no make the playoffs.
Oh yeah, yes. I mean it's 50-50 the way I laid it out. I'll say
Yes is minus 205.
Yeah. See, there you go.
That's pretty. I mean, just put that in context.
That's a lot for a team with no quarterback.
For real.
Yeah.
Shout out to
So
Jim
like
Ford.
the I'm trying to find another. So like the Steelers, who are also 4-2, are minus 110 to make the playoffs.
Yeah, no, that checks out. Quickly, I should point this out. And Breach, I just push back quickly, and I think you agree with this. I just think you're speaking generally maybe about Cleveland, but I think all of us last year were not impressed with Deshaun, rusty or not. And the thing that I kept saying, and you guys may have said it as well, I never was sure he was going to get back to the forms that we saw when he was at his peak. You agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And that was the whole thing. But and we all thought he was bad. We just gave him a flyer and said, he hasn't played football in a year and a half. So
Oh yeah,
we're
that part.
going. Yeah, exactly. And so real quick though, I'm glad someone in the comments just mentioned it. I got to shout out Dustin Hopkins, who not only hit 3 field goals of 50 yards or more in this game. Absolutely insane that he did that. 2 40-yarders and a 58-yarder, but he set an NFL record. He became the first kicker in NFL history to hit a field goal of at least 50 yards in 5 straight games. No kicker had ever. Justin Tucker didn't do that. Jim Breach didn't do it. No kicker ever had hit a field goal of 50 yards or more in 5 straight games. So Dustin Hopkins, maybe he can be their quarterback.